Welcome to EpicBattleCry, the place where we kind of sort of cut through the crap if you give us crap to cut through. I am Daniel Kaiser, joined by Tony
a.k.a. the expert,
and Brent Adams, otherwise known as two unemployed men and a not-so-baby guy named Brent.
What?
I guess.
What did I just get lumped in with?
You're a baby guy, which I'm not even really sure.
And you're not.
Oh, and I'm not.
I feel like there's clubs in New York that cater to baby guys.
Ooh.
My kind of town.
Well, I don't know if Alexander Arts is from New York or goes to those clubs, but he did have a question for us. We hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday, by the way, and this question does come from Alexander, and it's artfully crafted. It goes a little something like this. At Epic Battle Axe, what's the best direction for Uncharted 4?
The opposite direction of Uncharted 3.
Following young Sully, and he wants to know, should this be the final game? Brent, I want to start with you.
Why?
With this question, considering that you are the resident Uncharted fanboy.
I think I'm the one person here who's played all three to completion.
Yeah, I love Uncharted as well. It's the reason why I bought a PlayStation 3, and we have video evidence of that on our YouTube channel.
We do indeed, don't we?
Yes, but
I do like how you had to reference that, though. There is video proof of that, though.
Well, I mean, if there wasn't video proof, would you believe it?
Exactly.
No.
So what do you think,
sure
Brent?
I believe it. I was there.
What's the best direction for Uncharted 4? A story going back to the early days of one of the characters, like Sully, or what? And should this be the last game in the franchise? Probably not.
Okay, so this is actually like three questions here. First and foremost, as far as a young Sully goes, there's definitely some interest there. Like prior to Uncharted 3, which although I'm kind of bagging on it a little bit, but Uncharted 3 does have some flashback stuff where you see Sully as a younger guy. You see how he and Nathan meet each other, and I guess the beginnings of their relationship. But you know, Sully was mixed up in some pretty mixed up in some pretty shady shit back in his younger days. So there's definitely I think that there's definitely some potential there. I feel like it's an interesting idea. But I don't know, like I would have to be sold on it a little bit myself. Like I have to say, okay, well, what else are you doing? Like it can't just be, you know, Sully's a young guy and blah, blah, blah. If you did it as like kind of by necessity, you'd have to almost do it as like a period piece. And if they really kind of played up that aspect of it, I don't know. There's some interesting tendrils there. Okay, so anyway, but as far as the other question about should this be the final game, I don't know. There's a part of me that's kind of like, you know, doesn't want to see the series go on so long that it gets bad and kind of
end on top or
kind of laughable. Yeah, exactly.
Really?
I'd like to kind of see him
go out. Is it even close to that though?
I don't know. I mean, I personally thought that. I'm trying to remember back. I mean,
2 is the best one.
2 is easily the best one, and 3 was a bit of a letdown by comparison. But
yeah, just like Mass Effect. But I don't think that Mass Effect should end.
Well,
that's debatable.
But my point is that as far as the story with Nathan Drake goes within Uncharted, I don't know. I mean, you know, you can only. I mean, what's wrong with the Indiana Jones series? They went on one film too long. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus, did they?
Like, and that's the thing is that, you know, you don't ever want to go on so long that your last film becomes the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Point. Is like I'm saying that I feel like they should go out on top. If Uncharted 4 does stupendous work, if it's this amazing next gen title and all this stuff, it'll never happen. I mean, because it's coming out right, you know, towards the beginning of the life cycle, they'll definitely want to continue it on. But I don't want to see the series. I don't want to see the series run itself into the ground.
Makes sense.
Don't you kind of think to a certain degree, and I barely played the first one, didn't play 2 or 3. I played the multiplayer for 2 or whatever. But, you know, I can appreciate, like, the cinematic aspects of it. I always did like when I would see, like, yeah, I think I even saw Brent playing it a little bit, you know, and there were aspects of it that I could see I would really enjoy. But as far as, like, just the series as a whole, I've always kind of wondered why, realistically, and movies do this, video games do this, they are so afraid to me, they're so afraid to change the formula because they're like, well, it's been working. Yeah, one didn't do maybe quite as well as the one before it, but you know, as a whole, it's still doing pretty well. So let's just keep it going. And I'm not saying like change it drastically, but you know, could they not do like basically the same kind of game they're doing with Uncharted, but with a new character, like a totally new character. Like it's in the same world. Maybe you have some of the same villains or other characters that appear in this world, maybe there is some
like a female character.
Well, who is it? Is it Chloe, the character that Claudia Black plays? Her and Charlie. I mean, like they're in the same line of work as Nathan Drake. She's an awesome character. You could definitely see, kind of a spin-off game that might feature them or something like that. There's definitely potential for something like that.
There's always like, but
it's just that the series has been, so kind of built around Drake as a character and you kind of getting into Drake as this kind of modern Indiana Jones archetype.
That's kind of my point, though, is that once you've done that so many times, then you really have sort of pigeonholed yourself as in that's what we have to, that's what people are going to expect. Whereas to me, like, the sooner the better you can sort of try some other stuff. Like, for instance, I remember when they brought out Liberation, Assassin's Creed Liberation.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
that's
side
that
story.
Takes place in Louisiana, right?
Yeah. But see, they did it so sort of, I'm not saying half-assed in the sense of the quality of the game, but they brought it out on the Vita, a platform that wasn't being well accepted. They finally brought it out as an HD, remaster, like a year or year and a half later or whatever on consoles. But it was like, it just did not ever get the attention I think that it probably deserved, and it had like a cool character, a female lead. Like they did some things that I think were interesting, and had it gotten a little more attention, who knows, that could have been a break off of that series and gone on to do other stuff. But they've kind of so cemented themselves as in every game essentially looks very similar to the last one, and I think that does get a little old. I think you should try to branch out a little bit. So I don't know. I'm kind of with you that maybe they don't end Uncharted. This isn't the final Uncharted game,
right?
But maybe this is the end of this arc, of the majority of the characters that are in this series, and maybe they break off and do something a little different.
So you want them to go into Uncharted territory?
I think they should go. I think they should go into the future.
Okay,
but it's in the future, and they're searching for dilithium crystals.
Let me play devil's advocate on this just a second, because I agree with you too. I agree with you to a degree, but at the same time, aren't we kind of saying like Tomb Raider would be an awesome game series if it branched out and was about somebody other than Lara Croft? The fact that those games are about Lara Croft is kind of central to what the games are and have been. And so in a sense, Uncharted is a little like that. They have been so central to the Nathan Drake character and everything.
But he's had a lot more.
I've always felt like there was more
cast around him.
It hasn't been about the writing around it and things like that. Like, to me, Tomb Raider was never really that much about the writing or the story. I mean, in all frankness, the stories were usually, fairly contrived. But you liked seeing it because it was this female character, which either you liked it because she was female and got her T-shirt wet all the time, or you just liked the exploration and things like that. It was just an excuse to play the games. I mean, honestly, Tomb Raider is kind of one of those games, at least the old ones. The newer ones, a little different. The old ones were, you played it because you really did like the adventure, like finding your way through these worlds and stuff like that. Whereas to me, like looking at Uncharted, it looked to me like it was more like almost like a movie. And to me, that says like the writing was really good and the storytelling was good.
All true.
So to me, that is not exclusive to one character. Even if that one character is central to those stories they told, if the writing is so good and the world that they've created is so good, they can easily bring in new characters to that. That to me is a little different.
Yeah, and I think obviously for Sony it's a huge franchise and an exclusive franchise, so they would be very
they're not going to get rid of it.
They're not going to discontinue it. There might be offshoots, but at the same time, I mean, this is a powerhouse franchise for them. While 3 was a little bit of a letdown in comparison to the greatness of 2, 4 is an opportunity that 4 is going to come out on next-gen hardware. If you can imagine playing something like 2 or 3, any Uncharted game on next-gen hardware, it's going to revitalize the franchise just by the simple fact that it's going to have the look and feel of a next-gen game. So they've got at least 3 more in them, for right now, because that is going to do that. So,
but hopefully they can reinvigorate them. Hopefully, And I'm not saying that they're like necessarily coming into this like at a disadvantage. I think that I think the anticipation and the confidence is there. It's just that I hope that whatever it is they end up doing this generation will have me every bit as engaged and excited as what they did last generation.
Yes. I agree. Well, good conversation about Uncharted. Alexander, I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for submitting it. And if you have a question for me, TG, and BA, then please be sure to let us know via Twitter. At EpicBattleX is where you could find us. It could be a question about anything kind of open-ended like this Uncharted, or if you have a very specific question pertaining to this week's news or recent news that you want our insight and opinions on, feel free to ask us. And check out our show again tomorrow, as we'll once again be coming back to answer questions from the community pertaining to everything and everything. Actually, I have a pretty interesting topic, I believe, for tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to discussing that. We'll see you then. Thanks, TG. Thanks, Brent. And thanks, everybody, for listening. Cry havoc and let your voice be heard. Other tagline inserted here.
So do you know the questions that are coming up on the next day?
Oh, I know which ones.
Why don't you let us see those?